And maybe, can you all hear me well? Is that
Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
yes.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna present myself as well. I'm Fiona Jestin, so I work for AIM as a digital learning coordinator. And this is actually the first time that I'm facilitating a webinar for AIM. And someone is joining us, so I will just let her in. Or maybe if she or he wants to introduce herself.
Herself, Aissatou.
Herself, Aissatou,
Yeah.
can you hear her well?
Aissatou, do you see us and do you hear us? Okay, she'll come.
Okay,
No
well,
worries.
she will take her time. So thank you for being here, all of us. This webinar is part of AIM to be initiating the conversation. We already had one a few months or years ago, and the plan is to have a few more here. And today we would like to respond to a question that is important. That is, how can we build an inclusive organization that is based on policies, but also on learning how to facilitate on sensitive topics as well. And Isabella and Sabine met a few years ago, I believe, based on their two passions that they were having, such as inclusion and learning. And they met, I believe, in training. Is that correct?
We met some years ago, but it's an ongoing conversation that we
Yes.
have, the two of us, and that was more concrete around the trainer that Isabella and Christine followed. But there's a conversation indeed.
Yeah, and Isabella is the founder of JUMP, which is an European social enterprise that is, I think, promoting the gender equality and the diversity. And she's has an expertise on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Sabine is a learning, and she's the learning and director. She's the learning and development director, and she's a senior coach, trainer, and consultant. And the objective of today is really how, why facilitation skills are essential when delivering training on sensitive topics such as diversity and inclusion. So as you can see, there is a recording, and if you want to use a chat during the conversation, feel free. And if you have some question, feel free either to put it in the chat or to keep them for the end of the webinar. The 10 minutes at the end will be really just for you if you have some questions. And maybe we can start with a question that I have for you, which is what is the biggest challenge that you are facing when trying to make your organization more inclusive? So if you want to respond to that one, either in the chat or here, feel free to unmute yourself and to respond.
So it is a question that is addressed to the participants and not to
Yes,
Sabine
yeah.
and I. Yeah?
Yes,
Of course.
if that's okay for you.
I suspect it is complicated to answer for freelancers.
Yes.
Should we respond just in the chat or can I speak?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Go.
It's better.
Because
We are
I do
few.
have a very long corporate past. I've been 30 years in a corporation. I think the main challenge is the disconnect between avowed principle and actual behaviors of the individual managers.
We'll talk about that. The cosmetic approach that some companies could have.
Somebody else? I know that Aissatou has written a message in the chat saying that unfortunately she won't be able to take part live, to speak live, but for the others. I don't know, Ian, you had a corporate life before, another corporate life before AIM, or?
I did have a life before AIM, that's true. It did happen, yeah. I think what I come across as one of the biggest challenges once in a while is that when we talk about a mindset being more facilitative, and you will unpack how you see it, of course, and it is often we come from a long tradition where we have a management level that are supposed to know everything and are supposed to give answers instead of questions. It's a very simple way to speak of it. And that's the mindset often that we have. And that becomes a challenge. If suddenly you change that mindset in, you are facilitating conditions or a process for colleagues to be included in the organization, that's a different mindset. And that's hard in a corporate mindset sometimes to break. Some does it, of course, with good success, and some is struggling it. And that's what you asked about the challenge. There's a struggle there sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fiona, can I say something about what my experience and what I see in the companies we're working in?
Yeah, okay. We can.
Yeah, I think that the most complicated aspect of what we do in D&I, in the corporate world, in the business, but not only in that world, is that we make realize people that what they think about themselves, most of the people, and I was somebody like that, most of the people think they are good people. They have good values. They are not sexist. They are not racist. They, of course, do promote the best one. They do recruit the best one, and so on and so on. But if we are not aware of structural inequalities, if we are not aware of diversity, of all our specific biases, we cannot mitigate them. And at the end of the day, we are absolutely not the person we think we are. We are not fair to the other people if we don't work on our biases and if we are not aware of structural inequalities and privileges. And this is very complicated, even for me, to be aware of it and to work on it. And I'm still doing a lot of mistakes. And it as a trainer, as an expert in D&I, when we go out to these executive committees or management teams and so on, it is very complicated for them to accept that they are not the person they think they are. And this is the beginning of the journey to become a better person. But you need to be open to that. If you're not, you will make my life very complicated as a trainer.
And maybe before asking you, Isabella, some concrete example of people showing bias, maybe I can ask Sabine, why do you think facilitation is essential when we are trying to shift the organization, to change it so it's more inclusive all around diversity and inclusion?
Thank you, Fiona, for asking this question, because this is exactly the starting point of the conversation that we had with Isabella, which is that you can't improvise yourself being part of this systemic change if you're not prepared for. Because being in the middle of a room with people who could be resistant, who could be scared, who could be against what the company is trying or not to implement in a completely authentic or not authentic way, because it's very much about walking the talk. It's very much about taking decision and having the company being very clear about that. So that means that you can find yourself as a trainer in a dynamic which is much more difficult. And I know that Isabella has experienced, and Christine has experienced that many times. You can find yourself in very complex dynamics to handle. And you need to be prepared to create a safe space. A safe space where people dare to express why they feel that they are not in an inclusive environment, which is sometimes extremely difficult, because as a woman, as part of a minority, or whatever is your situation, daring to say, well, no, we are not what we think we are, as what Isabella was saying, requires the creation of a real a safe space at the level of facilitation. That means that the trainers need to be capable of handling emotions, resistant tensions, and needs to provide a real rhythm, a structure, a methodology which will kind of deconstruct the collective behavior, not behaviors at first, but belief that the people who are present in the room might have. So it's about holding the space, and in order to hold the space, you need to practice that. You can't be surprised by the dynamics that are happening in the training room. You can't be, because you can be also emotionally hijack yourself by some sentences, by some behaviors that you will observe. So you need to be highly prepared. This is what I've experienced.
Thank you so much, Sabine. And you said it right at some point. You said you use the word improvise. For Isabella, what can happen if someone is just in a way improvising himself, herself as someone who is going to deliver diversity and inclusion without having the proper facilitation skills? Can it be harmful? What can happen? Did you already had some experience? Did you see some things like this?
It's a difficult question because we were born as people that improvised as trainers. We first began with a lot of conviction, but it isn't sufficient, of course. Then we raised our knowledge, and how did we do that? We organized for 15 years a lot of events, asking the people out there, the writers, the specialists, the experts, and so on, to come to our events in order to share their knowledge. And this is how we raised our knowledge, every one of us in the team. And we really, even for myself, for 10 years at least, I didn't dare to go on stage, not even facilitating a panel, which is really, it's completely ridiculous. It's the imposter syndrome, because I did that for so many years before that. But on the topic, I was putting out to the public. So gender equality at work, diversity and inclusion. I didn't even dare to facilitate my own panels. Completely crazy. Then people like Christine and so many others were shouting at me, saying, come on, you should take your place. We need to see you on stage. You need to introduce, to conclude the event. You need to facilitate us at least some panels, and so on and so on. So at the end, I listened to them and I did it. And it was a great experience for me. And by doing, I got more and more confident about my ability to tackle this specific subject. And then we began to deliver training. So we began by facilitating panels and so on with real specialists, what we thought that were real specialists. And then we jumped in the training, and we did that I'm sorry if I say that, but I think, to be honest and transparent, we did that without having the basic knowledge of what needs to be done to be a good trainer. Thanks to our ability of being empathetic and our ability of knowing the subject, I think we were pretty good, but we lack some capacity of making the change happening. And when we followed the training of AIM in order to be a real trainer, we discovered that so many things that we did were completely aligned with what you teached, but we didn't realize it. It was empiric. It was absolutely not theoretical. And I think that in order to achieve the next stage of being a good professional, you need also to have to master the theory behind it. And I think we are much better in, for example, implementing a rhythm to our training, because we have so many things to share that we have the tendency of giving too many things that are descendant. So we are teaching you how you should be, what is the thing, and without making enough space for experiences and for them to really discover the topic and the change of behaviors that is absolutely needed. And so thanks really to what you teach us, I think we are much better trainer now. And when I say better, maybe not more convincing. We were very convincing before, but we are able now to tackle every kind of individual, knowing that every person has a specific a way of learning. And so now that we know that, we can tackle everybody around the table, and we can, I think, have a stronger impact on change.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions, so I need to find only one for now. So you talked about some skills that you thought were missing, kind of the theory. You talked about the change of behavior. And I was thinking for the change of behavior that you as a trainer needs to know the dynamic groups, because if you don't know how the dynamic groups are, on how you cannot know how to change that in an organization. So my first question, because I have a lot in my head, will be for Sabine. What do you know based on your previous experience about what can emerge as dynamic groups during, for example, training with sensitive topics such as diversity and inclusion?
Yes, and prior to answer that question,
sure.
I'd like to highlight what Isabella was saying, which is a kind of symptom of the expert who's now in the training room. And the risk is the wish to transfer everything that I know. And I know so many things, and the person who's in the training room might feel completely overwhelmed. And it's valid for many other topics. Once we are passionate about something, we really wish to give as much as possible. Our experience, and you probably experience that yourself, is that you can't swallow and digest everything. From a pedagogical point of view, you need to choose what is the essential that needs to be learned in those 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 day that you would like to share with the person in front of you. So this is an important dimension. Now, coming back to the group dynamic, I remember some years ago, because of this passionate perspective that we would have, I remember that some of our, that was many years ago, some of the feedback that we receive in a diversity and inclusion training was that we were perceived as a cult, just like, you are so passionate. This could be perceived as too much. So it's about being aware of the silent participants. Being aware of that person who's taking the floor a little too much and pretending to influence the rest of the group. It's about the people who will, one individual in the group who will minimize a topic, and that for the rest of the group who might feel that they have things to say will feel that they are not in a safe space in order to either challenge that or contradict that. So there are dynamics which are happening in the training group that quite often duplicate the dynamic of the company. And what do you do with that? And how, as a trainer, a facilitator, are you aware of those invisible dynamics? And how do you make sure that this is not happening? Because you can damage much more than what you expect to do, right? If you create an environment where you have the majority saying, well, there are no problem in our company, everything is absolutely all right, everybody can express themselves as they wish, and we respect all diversity. But the person in the training room do not have this experience, which is mirroring the external situation. You miss the objective. So that means that you need to be prepared for that. I think that if you're not aware of the extroverted, the dominant, the privileged people in the room taking the floor in a specific way, you might really miss the point.
Thank you. You talked about invisible. Previously, Isabella, you talked about bias. And maybe can you share with us some concrete example where I'm just hearing a little noise. I think it's fine now. Can you tell us some concrete example where you saw facilitators themselves showed bias? Well, like what happened?
Aye. Once again, I need to be very honest. And during COVID, it was or just before, just after, I don't remember. Anyway, I decided to assist to the training we were organizing by our clients, and that were delivered by some of our experts. And there, I was so surprised that, for example, a fantastic trainer having such an incredible success with the NPS, very high NPS in everything she did, when she was delivering a session to women on how to network, I discovered, or how to get feedback, I discovered that she understood nothing about the specificity of being a woman in the workplace. She had no awareness, and even, I would say, no knowledge about the fact that if she does like a man, what is expected from a man, then she will be perceived in a bad way, because she will be perceived as maybe arrogant, because there is a specific way that women connect with each other, and a specific way that women connect with men, and so the norm is masculine, but we need to we need to break that. We need to bring to the table another way of making networking that will not affect the perception of women, and where the women themselves will feel much more confident. But even if you say, okay, networking is you have working in it, so you should dedicate enough time to make it, and you should go to all these evening sessions and these cocktail parties and behave like that, and it's a number of business cards that you have at the end of the event that will show you how good you were, and good business cards are not the one that won't be helpful to your career and these kind of things. But this is absolutely not the context in which women want to network, and they are not comfortable with that. And even if you tell them that there is a working in networking, and that they will feel guilty that they have not enough time in order to dedicate to networking. So if you need to tell the women, we know that your life is not the life of a man like others. We know that you bear on your shoulders 2/3 of all the caring work, the unpaid work. We know that you're sleeping less on average than men. We know that you have less time leisure than men. So it's more complicated for you to find enough time to network. If you say that to women, they won't feel guilty, and they will listen to you in a better way. And so I was so surprised that my own expert didn't have that grid of lecture, I would say, and didn't have that awareness of gender differences.
Yeah, they will feel more understood in that way.
Exactly.
And thank you. Sabine, what do you think is going to distinguish then a trainer facilitator that is really trained, like who knows the skills, from another person who just knows the topic? And maybe you can share us more about what do participants learn in the Learn How to Train as well, that we do at AIM.
Yes, so it goes from a broad range of different activity, which could be, and I'm always surprised to see that one of the elements that people are looking for, and the facilitators in the room will recognize that, are icebreakers, for instance. People are desperately looking for icebreakers in the sessions. So this is one aspect of it, but it goes from ground rules. What are the rules that we implement prior to start the training, which guarantee that we are creating a safe place? It's about the capacity to reframe what participants are sharing, but it goes also to co-facilitation. In a co-facilitation, you need to mirror and you need to walk the talk. I've been co-facilitating a lot with men's, and you can so easily grab when there's something which is not completely integrated in terms of equality, for instance. I remember that I attended myself a training a few weeks ago. It was a man and a woman, and when the man was taking the floor, he would sit, and when the woman would take the floor, he would sit, and when he would take the floor, she would take care of the flip chart and change the agencies of the room, and she was taking care of making sure that there was water for everyone, and that was sending a message which was a little weird, and the subliminal message was absolutely against what we are trying to send. So we need to be careful about that, and both co-facilitators need to be aware of that. So what do we do from a training perspective? It's acknowledging from the very beginning, close to the client, the organization, that there's a real intention of having a change, a systemic change in the company. And it starts from the first conversation that you may have with the human resource department or the top management. So what is the authentic intention of change? It goes from the design of a training session, which needs to take into consideration how you can digest the information with having a diversity of activities, which goes from emotional activity to cognitive activities. Because some people only consider exclusion when they feel exclusion in their body. So
Absolutely.
there are exercises which are expressing what mentally you are very aware of. Yes, as Isabella was saying, we are not racist here. We are, of course, supporting gender equality. There's no doubt. But when you experience some kind of exclusion in your body, then there's another level of understanding. So how do you structure that as a trainer? How do you make sure that you're ready for whatever kind of incident that may happen in the room, whatever kind of incident? And we know that sometimes you're not prepared. Someone who will collapse, someone who will cry, someone who will leave the room, someone who will get angry, someone who will not talk. Are you prepared for that? Yeah. Someone who will challenge you in a very aggressive mode, an old group who will show you how uninteresting this topic is. I experienced myself, situation where I had, it was for a pharmaceutical company in London, and I had 50 men in the room they were all dressed in the same way, gray hair, long sleeve shirt, and they were kind of resisting to the training that we were delivering, and it was just a little sentence that kind of changed the whole environment and the whole mood that day. And the sentence was, can you look around you who's in the room? Can you just look and describe the environment? And then there was just like, they were looking around and they realized how homogeneous the environment was. And suddenly there was this little, maybe we can think about that, and maybe there's something to learn here. So it's this capacity to use what is happening in the room, who is in the room, what is not said, the silence, the old dynamic. It's an old process that needs to be learned, and it's important to go from theory to practice and to experience. I'm talking a little bit too much here.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, you said it really well. Like, as a trainer, you need to be prepared, but you need to have the skills, like the theoretical skills, and then you need to experiment. And thanks to the experimentation, you're going to feel way more confident. And before you said, Isabella, that you didn't have some skills, you felt like you didn't have some skills, and then thanks to the training from AIM, you got the skills, kind of. Do you have a concrete example? I think that the training were like 2 years ago, if I remember well, something like this. Since then, do you have a concrete example where you delivered a training and you felt maybe more confident and you saw the difference with the participants, you saw the change of behavior, something like this?
Yeah, I was reassured on many things that we already did, like how to make a proper offer to a potential client. We do it quite well, obviously, following your guidelines. But it's always very useful to be reassured on the way you're doing, because you don't have so much opportunity to share with other professionals. So one of the things that is really a great aspect of your training is that we are sharing our best practices among ourselves, and only that is very useful. But then for sure, I would think that, like the one that I mentioned before, the rhythm of the training, I still have the very negative tendency of trying to deliver everything that I know, exactly what you explained, Fiona, before. And now I know that it's not okay. Even if I get a good feedbacks, but it's not okay because I can be better. It's not because it's not the thing that I'm not good at it. I'm okay, but I can be better. And the rhythm of the training, especially, so conferences is one thing, but the training aspect, when you have 2-3 hours or even one full day of training, you absolutely need to have a rhythm and to have a mix of methodology. For example, our biggest client is the group NG. And most of them are engineers or experts in very rational stuff. If you don't put the source of all the stats that you put in your slides, some of them will not believe you. So, and a lot of them, because many are introverts, they will not even dare to say that out loud. But if they think, okay, this is a fluffy thing because there is no source, I cannot check, and so on, then you lose them on the way, and it's not okay. So you have to know who is there and how you can methodologically speak to all of them. Some will answer with if you touch their emotions. So videos, for example, are great assets. It's a very important job that we do every day, is to really identify new videos that are existing out there in order to capture them and to deliver them within our content. And so the rhythm, the methodological mix, I think that were very, very useful for us.
Thank you. Before giving the floor to some participants, if you have questions, I had a question. When I was hearing you, Sabine, you were talking about two co-facilitator before. You were giving an example. And I was thinking in my head, how can someone be aware if they don't realize they have bias? Like, for example, you are here. So of course, I feel like you're trying to learn and to inform yourself, and you already have some remise en question, like you're questioning yourself. But if someone believes that he or she knows how to do, how can he or she can try to question himself? Do you see what I'm trying to ask?
Yes, it's a deep question, because it's about self-awareness and the wish to change. And I believe that if you don't have a philosophical permanent quest of evolving and improving and changing, if it's not driven by that, then it could be because of the frustration that people around you might feel. We have in our team, and Jan, you were a witness of that. We have in our teams, we have, I don't know, 100 trainers who are working with us, and some of them receive the feedback that co-facilitating with them as a woman is really difficult. It's very hard. And so it comes from a difficult place, because your co-facilitator is not satisfied, it might be perceived in the evaluation. Some person in the evaluation might perceive that there's a kind of domination and that the other facilitator is stepping back and withdrawing from sharing. And at some point we had to address it. We had to say to our facilitator, hey, you need to improve on that matter, because otherwise you're not going to co-facilitate anymore. There's some blind spots that we'd like you to work on. So if it's not coming from the inside, it will show up at some point in the outside. And we are talking about facilitation here, but it could be how you collaborate with someone. It could be how you behave in a meeting. It could be at different levels. This same phenomena will be repeated. So if it's not coming from the inside, it will show up from the outside.
Hopefully, when you will receive the feedback, you will question yourself to try to evolve on not telling you, no, it's all good, and you're the one who's making a mistake.
Hopefully, we are not equal in taking the feedback and wanting to behave in a different way, but hopefully, yes, there are those invisible microaggressions, because we can sometimes even name them as microaggressions, that you need to be aware of. Little things, but for instance, in the co-facilitation, having one trainer giving instruction to the group and systematically having the co-facilitator repeating the same instructions gives a sense that the first one is not clear enough. And those little, very subtle situations are not always perceived by the facilitators themselves. And I can go for hours with the list of micro elements, and we need to be aware that in the training room, the participant sees everything. They observe you. They can really grab every dynamic that is happening. So what you will deliver is really perceived and intensify. So you need to be aware of those dynamics.
Yeah, thank you. If I understand well, it's all in the details, like in the non-verbal communication, in the body.
It's
everything.
It's also in the non-verbal. It's also in how you place yourself in the room. It's also in the space that you leave to your co-facilitator. It's also there.
Thank you. Do you have maybe a question, one of you, that you would like to ask after this super nourishing conversation? Thank you so much, Isabella and Sabine. Maybe some of you have a question that you can share either in the chat or directly you can unmute yourself and ask it if you have something that you want to share, or if you want to share something as well.
An experience that you had that might benefit to all of us.
Silence.
They are all thinking of an experience. What happened?
I'm sure you had a lot.
I think I had one a few days before. It was during a workshop of bol tibetan. I don't know how to say it. And it was two co-facilitators. Bol tibetan is just some noise, kind of a meditation style. There was two co-facilitators, one man and one woman. And I felt really in my body that when the man was speaking, it was kind of like, I know what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is right. And when the woman was speaking, she was way more soft. She was all about softness. And I really feel the difference between the two person. I really didn't feel safe with the man and super safe with the woman. It was super strange feeling during the same workshop. I had that in mind.
Yes, your attitude is absolutely fundamental. Huh? And also, I would say, even if you're the expert, your humility needs always to be put forward. You need to share. I think that we are good at sharing our mistakes, our doubts, and this is absolutely essential, especially in this topic on D&I, because it's such a sensitive topic, and it is such these skills are never good enough. And we should share that in order to make the others comfortable of being on the journey to become better person. But on that journey, you will, of course, need to raise your knowledge even more. You need to pay attention to what you're saying, to how you're behaving, and you will do mistakes. It's by doing mistakes that you will learn. The important thing is that your humility will enable you to ask for feedback and listen to the feedbacks and accept it. And it's not easy. And so I think that one of the tips is really humility, sharing humility with the others, especially on our topic D&I, and especially now in this geopolitical context.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that vulnerability. It brings a lot when you can create a space where it's acceptable, and it's true that I would do that with my female friends. I would tell them about, oh my God, I did this mistake again, and I'm lost, and I don't know what to do, and it's the more I will open up, and the more we will be close to each other, because it's an invitation. If you share your mistake, it's an invitation to the person in front of you to share her or his mistake. So it creates some kind of invisible support network, and it's true that it's extremely valuable once you are in a place where you don't have to pretend to be something that you're not, and that you can be, you can be authentically yourself. It's very valuable in a family. It's very valuable in a team, in a company. If you can be, if your mistakes are accepted, it could be very valuable. Yeah.
Thank you. You want to share or ask a question, Andrea?
Yes, I was just sharing a consideration, because of course I do and I have made a lot of workshop on diversity. I focus not so much, of course, on women, gender diversity, but on LGBT diversity. And that is a topic that is particularly hard to make popular. I think the key of the conversation when you get into the room is to move from what people should do to what they choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you articulate in terms of, moral imperatives, and this is, and I think, Isabella, you were saying being a better person. Yes, definitely. But I would not like to put it that way. Is how do you want to be perceived by your coworkers? How much do you care about how they feel? Because that links what they learn to what they want, and not to how they should be, because otherwise you are perceived, as a parent, as a schoolmaster,
Yeah.
and you get rejection.
So what you're saying is to put the focus on the will to be appreciated by others.
Yes. One very typical conversation, if you don't mind me going had is jokes.
Uh-huh.
You know how people say, "Oh, we can't say anything anymore. We cannot joke." And I mean, what I find useful is to shift, not about what you can or cannot do, but do you think what is in the other person's mind when you joke in that way?
Yeah.
Do you understand it's hurting, and do you really want to hurt them?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So that changes normally the perspective, because I agree in this particular moment, political and such, there is this narrative that, oh, we can do anything, all this soft stuff is tying our hands and we cannot be ourselves, which is in part true, because we are asking people that develop their bias to let them go. So we're asking them to be different from themselves, and this is something they can only do if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You're right.
On the
Oh, sorry.
you wanted to, yeah, go ahead.
No, thank you, all of you. I was just reminded years back. I came across a book by a guy called John Hyder, who wrote up The Art of Leadership, where he took the 82 verse of Sun Tzu the deeper understanding of that Japanese belief system there. And one of them, he rewrote them into leadership, and one of them was the way of the midwife. The way of the midwife, it was called, and I was trying to find it right now, and I can't. I have it probably somewhere, but it's a book of this guy there, and the way of the midwife always inspired. We talk about facilitation, that you're supporting someone else in giving birth to what matters to them. It's not yours, it's not your ownership, you're just owner maybe of a process, and it's your support creating safety in that matters. And I do definitely acknowledge, after experience, it's easy to talk about, easy to say, and sometimes hard to do. I totally understand that's how it is. But you just reminded me of that again. I haven't thought about that book for years, but talking about it right here, the way of the midwife just comes to me as a good reminder of what facilitation could be and could look like. Thank you. Yeah, and then I just want to say, sorry, one of the things that really I'm really curious about right now is also the age and the generations, because I really see it. Maybe it's my own life age, but I really see possibilities for cracks to open between generations right now. I think it's extremely important that we keep building bridges. And I also see it in the facilitation. I also see it. We have, the facilitation difference in ages when we are together in the room. So it's not just the more senior and the more junior. And I mean, we're trying really to overcome that. But I really also, I'm totally aware of age differences, of generations differences, and how we get some kind of equality to that as well. And maybe it's probably because of my age, and I have 3 daughters, that reminds me all the time, which is good. It's very precious teachers. Yeah. Now I will shut up because I speak for long
Thank you for
about
the
that
sharing.
part. But thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, maybe you talked earlier, Isabella, about vulnerability. I don't want to influence, but to wrap up this conversation, maybe you can first, Isabella, and then Sabine, for example, share, what will be your last tips of this conversation that you would like to share? The resume, I don't know.
Yeah, another one that that I think is very useful is that you need to speak to the people, to their head and to their heart. You need to do both, because they need to understand why it is important, and they need to understand how can be more appreciated, more liked, like Andrea said, or at least become a better person. And speaking exactly like Ian shared with us, is the father of 3 daughters. It's important because you speak not only to the manager, you speak also to the father, to the brother, to the friend, and yeah, you need really to open the heart of the people in order for them to be able to change. With the head, they will fake it. Fine enough, because you can begin by faking it and before making it. But if you speak to the heart, then you have another kind of impact. And then my last one is, we are known in GEM to that we are really, the people perceive us as real experts in our domain. That's an important, that's the basics, but also that we share specific pragmatic tools. We need to help people to leave the room with things that they can immediately implement, and that they have choice within all the tools that we are offering, that we say this is at your disposal. This is something that you can do. So make a decision about the things you will change tomorrow, thanks to the things that you have understood and to the tools that you have discovered. Being pragmatic.
Thank you. Okay, Sabine?
So from a facilitation perspective, I would say make sure that you create a safe environment. Know what is a safe environment and be ready to do that. Know your own bias. You can't teach something if you're not yourself in the process of working on that, and be aware of, why is this person suddenly irritating you in the dynamic? Why, be aware of your own irritation. I find it extremely powerful. Know the different step of a group, and how a group builds and is constructed and deconstructed. And develop your capacity of observation of the people in the room. Develop the capacity of reading a group. You need to practice that. It's extremely important. I would go for those ones.
Thank you. Chris is sharing the chat. Facilitator can role model vulnerability to promote a safe space, kind of, as well. Well, thank you for this nourishing conversation. If you want to be informed of future webinar or the Learn How to Train program, and if you want us to maybe exchange conversation about another theme, whether neurodiversity or AI or something else, I will put in the chat now a type form that you can click on it if you want to, and I will send it to you again tomorrow by email with the record of the conversation as well. So that would be the type form as well. So thank you. It was super nourishing, and I feel grateful.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.